Most people believe that weakness is obvious. They imagine weak people as those who lack money, strength, or intelligence. But Stoic philosophers understood something far more subtle. Weakness rarely appears in appearance or status. It reveals itself through words. The things people say every day expose the condition of their mind. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the character of a person is shaped by the thoughts they repeat to themselves. Words are not random. They are reflections of the beliefs someone carries inside. And if you listen carefully, you will begin to notice a pattern. Weak minds often repeat the same phrases again and again. They sound harmless at first. Sometimes they even sound reasonable. But hidden inside them is a dangerous mindset that slowly erodes discipline, responsibility, and strength. A Stoic mind learns to recognize these phrases immediately, not to judge others, but to guard itself against adopting the same habits. Because weakness rarely begins with failure. It begins with excuses. One phrase weak minds say very often is, "It's not my fault." At first glance, this sentence feels comforting. It removes the weight of responsibility. It protects the ego from discomfort. But the Stoics believed that growth begins exactly where excuses end. Epictetus taught that we must separate what is within our control from what is not. But weak minds misunderstand this teaching. Instead of focusing on what they can control, they use circumstances as a shield. If something goes wrong, they blame their parents, their boss, the economy, society, their friends, their childhood. And while some of these factors may indeed influence a person's life, blaming them endlessly achieves nothing. Responsibility is power. The moment you accept responsibility for your life, you regain control over it. Weak minds reject this idea because responsibility is uncomfortable. It forces them to confront their own choices, and that is far more difficult than blaming the world. Another phrase weak minds repeat constantly is, "I'll do it tomorrow." This sentence seems harmless. Everyone procrastinates occasionally, but for weak minds, tomorrow becomes a permanent escape. Seneca warned about this trap over 2,000 years ago. He wrote that we waste our lives not because time is short, but because we treat it carelessly. Weak minds imagine they have unlimited tomorrows. They delay important work. They postpone discipline. They wait for the perfect moment. But the perfect moment rarely arrives. Strong minds understand something simple. Life is happening now. The only moment that truly belongs to you is the present one. Every time someone says tomorrow, they quietly surrender the power of today. Weak minds also say something else very often. Life is unfair. And in a sense, they are correct. Life is unfair. But the Stoics never expected fairness from the world. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly that life would include obstacles, betrayals, and difficulties. Instead of resisting reality, he prepared for it. Weak minds believe that hardship is a sign that something is wrong. They expect comfort and stability at all times, and when difficulty appears, they feel personally attacked by fate. Stoics saw hardship differently. Obstacles were opportunities to practice strength, patience, and discipline. Complaining about unfairness does not change reality. It only drains energy that could be used to improve your situation. Another phrase weak minds repeat is, "I deserve more." This belief can be surprisingly destructive. The Stoics never believed that life owed them anything. They understood that the universe does not reward entitlement. It rewards effort. Weak minds often believe they deserve success simply because they want it. They expect recognition without discipline, rewards without patience, respect without character. But life rarely works that way. True achievement is built slowly, often quietly, and always through consistent effort. Strong minds focus on becoming better rather than demanding more. Another phrase that exposes weakness is, "That's just how I am." This sentence appears harmless, even honest, but often it hides something dangerous: the refusal to change. Weak minds use this phrase to justify bad habits, anger, laziness, or lack of discipline. They treat personality as a prison instead of something that can evolve. The Stoics believed the opposite. They believed every human being has the ability to refine their character through awareness and effort. Your nature is not fixed. It is shaped by the choices you repeat daily. When someone says, "That's just how I am," they close the door to growth. And a closed mind is the true definition of weakness. Weak minds also say something that reveals deep insecurity. What will people think? This question controls the lives of millions. Fear of judgment shapes their decisions, their behavior, even their dreams. They avoid opportunities because they worry about criticism. They silence themselves because they fear embarrassment. But the Stoics saw reputation as something fragile and unreliable. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that people's opinions change constantly. What one person admires today, another criticizes tomorrow. If you build your life around approval, you become a prisoner of other people's moods. Strong minds choose principles over popularity. They act according to their values, even when others misunderstand them. Weak minds also say, "I can't handle this." This phrase appears when difficulty arises, when pressure increases, when circumstances become uncomfortable. Weak minds immediately conclude that they are incapable of enduring hardship. But Stoics trained themselves to challenge this thought. They understood that the human mind often underestimates its own resilience. What feels unbearable in the moment often becomes manageable once we face it calmly. Marcus Aurelius believed that most suffering comes not from events themselves, but from our interpretation of them. The moment you decide something is unbearable, you weaken your ability to face it. But when you remain calm and focus on the next small step, strength gradually appears. Weak minds also say something that quietly destroys progress. Why bother? This phrase is the voice of discouragement. It appears after failure, after rejection, after disappointment. When weak minds encounter obstacles, they interpret them as signs that effort is pointless. But Stoics believed something different. They believed effort itself holds value regardless of the outcome. A disciplined mind continues acting according to its principles, even when results are uncertain. Because character is built through effort, not guaranteed success. Weak minds seek certainty before they act. Strong minds act because it is the right thing to do. Finally, weak minds often say something that seems small, but reveals a deeper problem. Everyone else does it. This sentence appears when people justify dishonesty, laziness, or unethical behavior. Instead of thinking independently, weak minds follow the crowd. But the Stoics warned constantly against this habit. Epictetus believed that the majority often pursues comfort rather than wisdom. If you follow the crowd blindly, you inherit the crowd's problems. Strong minds evaluate actions based on principles, not popularity. They understand that doing what is right often means walking a different path. The truth is that weakness rarely announces itself loudly. It whispers through small habits of thinking, through excuses, through fear, through avoidance, through the quiet surrender of responsibility. And the most dangerous part is that anyone can fall into these patterns without noticing. The Stoics never claimed to be perfect. They practiced constant awareness because they understood how easily the mind can drift toward comfort. Strength is not built through one dramatic decision. It is built through hundreds of small moments where you choose responsibility over excuses, where you choose discipline over delay, where you choose courage over fear. Every day, the mind offers you a choice. You can repeat the phrases that weaken your character, or you can replace them with something stronger. Instead of, "It's not my fault," you can ask, "What can I improve?" Instead of, "I'll do it tomorrow," you can begin today. Instead of complaining about unfairness, You can prepare yourself for difficulty. Instead of fearing judgment, you can act according to your values. This is how a Stoic mind develops, not through perfection, but through awareness and practice. The phrases you repeat every day quietly shape your future. Choose them carefully, because the words of a weak mind slowly create a weak life, and the words of a disciplined mind build something far more powerful, a character that remains steady, even when the world around it is not.